110 million years old dinosaur mummy found. Scientists are reportedly hailing it as the most best preserved dinosaur specimen ever discovered. That's why you cannot see its bones, they remain covered by intact skin and armor. The remains seem like they were just about a few weeks old, despite the fact that this dinosaur passed away over 110 million years ago. Found accidentally by some miners in Canada, this fossilized nodosaur happens to be more than 110 million old, yet patterns are still quite visible on the skin. This news had been given by the Royal Tyrrell Museum of Paleontology, which happens to be located in Alberta, Canada, and had recently unveiled the find. The dinosaur is so well preserved that instead of a fossil, we could very safely call it a dinosaur mummy. The researchers that were examining the find were astounded at its nearly unprecedented level of presentation. The animal's armor, skin, and even some of its guts were surprisingly still intact. And it was something that they had never even seen before. It took the dinosaur 6 years to go from its discovery to the museum, which is a lot less time than the 110 million years that had passed since its early Cretaceous period demise. When a miner in Alberta discovered the dinosaur, he immediately informed museum staff. The climate and habitat of the dinosaur in early Cretaceous Alberta would have been comparable to that of present-day Florida. This dinosaur was even built like an actual tank. A member of a rather newly discovered species called the nodosaur, it was an enormous four-legged herbivore protected by a spiky, bladed armor. It weighed approximately 3,000 pounds. And if you want an idea of just how intact this mummified nodosaur is, it still weighs a whopping 2,500 pounds. The dinosaur, a type of ankylosaur, weighed more than a ton when it was alive. But from the looks of the contents of its stomach, it was a plant-eating creature and preferred ferns. Its stomach-like portion is about the size of a soccer ball. Finding a dinosaur's genuine preserved stomach contents is incredibly unusual, and the museum team's recovery of this stomach from the mummified nodosaur is by far the best preserved dinosaur stomach discovered to date. This nodosaur was quite picky when it came to eating. The stomach's contents were matched to fossil leaf studies from the same era and locale. The common cycad and conifer leaves were mostly ignored by the nodosaur, which mostly preferred to eat the delicate leaves of particular ferns. They discovered a total of 48 pollen and spar microfossils, which included moss and liverwort, 26 club mosses and ferns, 2 blooming plants, and 13 conifers. However, it's still a mystery as to how the dinosaur mummy could actually remain so intact for so long. Researchers suggest that the nodosaur might have been swept away by a flooded river and even carried out to sea, where it ultimately sank to the floor. Researchers have even named the 5.5-meter nodosaur Borealopelta Mark Mitchellii in honor of the museum's technician Mark Mitchell. But how lifelike is the specimen, really? The rock surrounding the fossil was reduced to a block weighing 15,000 pounds, but when it was lifted, it broke. The parts were transported to the museum covered in plaster, where the fossil preparation lab worked more than 7,000 hours removing the skin and bone from the surrounding rock. Apparently, the preservation was so incredibly good that researchers were even able to tell the dinosaur's skin color by simply using mass spectrometry techniques to detect any actual pigments. The way they found out that the nodosaur's coloring was a dark reddish brown on the top of the body and lighter on the underside. Since the dinosaur was a herbivore, the skin must have played an important role in protecting it from the massive carnivores that were present at that time. The nodosaur had actually been discovered by an unsuspecting excavator operator that had uncovered the historic discovery while he was busy digging in an oil sands mine. According to reports that were later released by the museum, approximately 7,000 painstaking reconstruction hours later, this dinosaur was finally ready to meet the public. As if the preservation of the armor, skin and guts weren't nearly impressive enough, The dinosaur mummy is also incredibly unique in that it was actually preserved in 3 dimensions, with the original shape of the animal retained. Considering that it is the most complete specimen ever discovered, museum experts claim that this discovery represents a significant advancement in our understanding of the design of dinosaur armor. Chemical remnants on the armor might also reveal information about the dinosaur's color, which could provide information about how it acted in mating displays to attract the interest of the opposing gender.